Well, it started off as one of the more eventful Tuesdays I've ever had in my life. Warm Tuesday afternoon, and get a call for a brush fire. As soon as I came out of the station, I'm about 5 miles away from it, and as soon as I came out of the station, I saw a thermal column up in the sky, so I knew that this was going to be a very active fire.
Well, we'd known that there had been a high probability of a severe wildfire potential during that week because of the high temperatures, the low humidity, and the winds. The day in the question of the Scatter Creek fire specifically was the onshore push came relatively early. Fire started just after noon, so the fire was able to burn unchecked, even with a fast response time like us, jump from a small fire to multiple acres in the matter of a couple of minutes.
On the day of the Scatter Creek fire, I arrived shortly after the fire started on Walkie Lane, about 1.2 miles away from where we're located currently. I started attempting to scout the fire along with others. It had grown to a fairly large size, so we were trying to determine the extent of the fire and where the fire might be going.
Sitting in my living room, and I watched some smoke go by the window. So I went out the side door to see which neighbor I would confront about burning, and I couldn't see my carport, which is 8 feet away. So at that point I grabbed my hose and I started out into the smoke until I encountered flame. At that point I started working back up and down the fire lane, putting out as much of the fire as I could reach.
All of a sudden I noticed there was a lot more smoke coming past the window. The fire was here. It had come across the freeway. At that point we didn't realize it was something else, but from the start of his video to me driving away, it was 10 minutes that my house was fully engulfed from this wildfire. I lost my home. I lost all 5 of my cats because I did not have time to even look for them. I didn't have time to put on shoes. It was get out with your life.
What complicated the rapid development of the fire was the grass. The grass was dry. It was about 4 feet high, which was sustaining some fairly large flame lengths.
It was a situation where we had active fire. It came up right over the top and took control, and they had fire on all sides.
Fire crews tried to save this historic site and the barn, but ended up retreating for their own safety.
I had identified the gravel parking lot as our safety zone in case the fire advanced upon us. After the fire broke through the tree stand, the winds seemed to shift in our direction, and the winds were upwards of 20-mile-per-hour gusts, and it pushed the fire upon us quickly. We fell back from that barn. At that point, the fire advancing so quickly towards us, we had to fall back to the safety zone, which was in the parking lot.
One thing that I did notice was the incredible amount of fire that I saw. It was a wall of flame, a lot of smoke produced. It was obviously very warm out, and the wind was surprising. Wildfire has a tendency to create its own type of wind. You hear stories all the time about fire sounding like there's a freight train coming. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is absolutely 100% true. And it was a monstrous freight train. And I'm telling you, that day, it really kind of changed my whole perspective on wildland firefighting, because I found myself right in front of it all.
As the fire burnt around us, we then were able to come out of the parking lot when it burnt completely around us. The structural team was in place. They had completed defending the homes along Guava. At that point, I directed them, the fire was moving now along 180th. So the resources that I had available, I directed them to essentially walk the fire around, or leapfrog, if you will, as the fire was suppressed at one location. Then those resources would leapfrog the others and try to defend the next threatened structures in the path of the fire.
Our assignment was to stop the fire from hitting these structures, and I'm glad to say that we were successful with the help of an airdrop. So we had an airdrop overhead, which was, I don't ever recall having that any wildland fire in our jurisdiction. And so it was quite an amazing sight.
So at one point we had 3 helicopters and up to 3 other fixed-wing aircraft operating in the region. An incident of this magnitude usually takes a large team to manage. A department such as ours really shines in the first operating period for up to 24 hours, but an incident like this takes countless manpower hours and days, if not weeks, to completely contain. It's interesting to see that during the course of the 30 plus years that I've been in the fire service, obviously this is the largest incident that we've had in the area here. However, over the last 10 years, we've seen brush fires start and grow larger rapidly than in years past. And I think that has to do with the changing environment we have here with the summertime. It's drier, earlier, more incidences where we have very low humidity and aggressive winds that all come together at the same time.
We talk about defensible space all the time, but really what does that mean? What that means is having green grass, having sprinklers running around the property, removing combustible items at least 30 feet from your structures, protecting it, thinking ahead, planning for the event to happen when you don't know when it's going to happen. You can rely on us, and you can count on us definitely to be there to try to save your property, but it's a two-way street.
I think residents need to partner, if you will, with the fire department. And they can partner by trying to follow the information that's readily available on our website and print media related to Defensible Space. And if they follow that direction and they prepare their property when we survey it to determine whether or not we can defend the property, it will help substantially if they've followed that direction.